We have public comments before we go into the calling, and we have two public comments. These will be a maximum of 5 minutes with questions from the committee to the person making the comments. And the first one is Sarah Sackman. Would you like to come forward, please? If you state who you are, where you're from, or who you represent, and then your comments.
Thank you, Chair. My name is Sarah Sackman. I work as a barrister and I'm here representing the parents, carers and students at Mapledown School.
Legally engaged?
Excuse me?
Are you legally engaged?
I'm not legally engaged. I'm just saying my professional capacity here is. I'm not here in my professional capacity, but that's my profession.
Thank you very much indeed. You have 5 minutes.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. As you know, Mapledown School is a school for pupils with severe and complex learning disabilities. And part of the service that it offers is respite care, short-term, temporary relief to those who are caring for family members. And as we've heard already this evening from Teresa Ball and from others, this is not a luxury, it is a necessity. And it's essential for students, as we'll hear shortly from Christine Canavan, who is the mother of Liam, who is also here with us tonight. It's essential for those students, and it's essential for the families of those who are being cared for. To quote Tatiana Leontoritis, one of the mothers of the school, she told me that Mapledown After School Club is so important to the rest of the family, even more so than for my disabled son, as it allows us to bond and spend time together without worrying about him. All these cuts to the school budget, 27% of Mapledown's short grades budget mean. Let me explain. Firstly, these cuts will be expensive for the families. We know that for children with severe disabilities, there are no alternatives to these clubs and short grades. Currently, there is an over-demand for the sessions at the school, so that pupils are limited to 3 sessions a week. As a result of this cut, some of those students will only be entitled to 1 session a week. It will also be expensive for the council. We know that many carers provide up to 15 hours of care each day. Families aren't obliged to provide this free care, they do so out of love and care. And if they don't provide this, this will come at a cost to the council itself. Carers UK estimated that family members save the state nationally £119 billion a year. So it's actually a false economy. If we're pushing these carers, as we've heard tonight, some of them to breaking point, with the stress, the isolation of not getting enough short grades. This will have negative impacts with the attendant costs on the physical and mental well-being of those carers. And it also means that many of these carers are unable to work, certainly not full-time, because of the lack of short grades. And it's with due credit to this government, the national government, that it has recognised the importance of short grade programmes. The government has said that supporting carers to remain physically and mentally well is a key part of the prevention and public health agenda. This is particularly important for carers of children with complex long-term disabilities. And it's for that reason that the national government has actually set aside, as part of its early intervention grant, an increased funding at £22 million a year nationally during the course of this Parliament for short grades. So nationally, the government has recognised the importance of short grades. And yet, this council has decided to cut those grades, and in the particular case of Mapledown School, the short grades budget will be cut by 27%. Now we know that councils don't have a bottomless pit of money, but let me tackle head-on the argument that there is no money. Mapledown School and the other institutions affected by these cuts are conscious of the need to spend scarce resources carefully. But the least that the parents of Mapledown School can expect is that this council will have looked carefully at other sources of funding before taking away the funding for this respite care. And we know there are other sources of funding. Firstly, because as I've said, central government offers the early intervention grant. How is it, as the first questioner Christine said, how is it that there are £22 million a year increase in short breaks budget, yet this council is cutting the budget so severely? We know that there are other reductions and savings that could be made elsewhere in the budget. To give you a couple of examples, councillors' allowances and other efficiencies could be found, as the Labour Group has stated publicly. I'm just coming to the end of my
You've got
comments.
about 15 seconds latitude.
That's fine. Let me put it this way. In a civilised society and affluent borough like ours, we should be judged by how we treat the most vulnerable members of our community. They found ways to retain their short breaks budget in other Conservative councils, Hammersmith and Fulham, Croydon and the rest. Let's do that in Barnet. I ask this committee to take on board my comments and those of the parents and refer this back to the Cabinet to reconsider its decision.